We're going to be short this morning. We should be done like way early, but I just want to conclude our Christmas series called It's a Wonderful Life this morning. And we've been working our way through this. We've gone through 3 previous weeks, and so far we've seen that it's a wonderful life when our plans go awry. We've also seen that it's a wonderful life even when we face trouble. And then last night, if you were here, we saw that it's a wonderful life because God offers fresh starts. And this morning, you know what? We're just going to declare that it's a wonderful life. That's what we're going to talk about this morning. It's a wonderful life, and that's what ultimately is discovered in our movie. The movie. What I just blanked out on. What's this movie called? It's a Wonderful Life. I've said it like 15 times, and I can't remember the name of the stupid movie. All right, but in this movie, I mean, ultimately, that's what George discovers, right? I mean, last night we left off as he was running home, and he was just celebrating that his car was smashed into a tree, and he was celebrating that somebody was there to arrest him, and he was celebrating that somebody else was at his house there to go through his books. I mean, he was excited in everything that was going on because he had found something. He had found that it's a wonderful life. And so our last clip here, we're going to kind of pick up where we left off last night. And so go ahead and roll that clip, and then we'll continue with our message.
Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building and loan! Hey! Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter! Happy New Year to you! In jail. Go on home, they're waiting for you. Mary! 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 Well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner. How are you?
Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper.
I'll bet it's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? I'm going to jail. Merry Christmas, reporters. Oh, where's Mary? Mary! Oh, look at this wonderful old drafty house. Mary! 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 Have you seen my wife?
Merry Christmas, Daddy!
Kids! Pete! Oh. Kids! Janie, Tommy! Oh, let me look at you. Oh, I could eat you up. Where's your mother?
She went looking for you. With Uncle Billy. Daddy!
Zuzu, my little ginger snap. How do you feel?
Fine. Not a smidge of temperature.
Not a smidge of... Hallelujah.
Hello. George,
Mary.
darling, where are
Mary.
you? George, darling, where are you? Oh, George,
Mary.
George.
let me touch you. Let me touch you. Are you real?
George.
Now, some of you are hoping to go home today and get kissed like that, aren't you? But what we believe is that what we just saw right there, It's a Wonderful Life, is the story of Christmas. It's the story of Jesus. It's the story of Bethlehem. It's the story of the manger and Joseph and Mary. And it's the source. This Christmas, the reason for Christmas, is ultimately the source that anyone can truly declare it's a wonderful life. And to look at this morning, we're going to go to the book of John, and we're going to be in John chapter 10. And we're just going to go through one verse. It's John 10, verse 10. So if you don't know where that's at, John is in the New Testament. There's the Old Testament, the first 39 books, and the New Testament starts with Matthew. You've got Matthew, Mark, Luke, and then John is the 4th book in there, and we're going to be in chapter 10 in there. And John was one of Jesus' closest disciples, okay? He was close. He was his homeboy. He was part of the squad, okay? He was like one of the 4 guys that was in the inner circle here with Jesus, and so that's who John was. And John, as a matter of fact, was the only person who followed Jesus, who actually went with him to his trial, to his crucifixion, and saw him die on the cross. The rest of the disciples abandoned him except for John. And this commitment to Jesus was not John's normal way of rolling, okay? This wasn't who John was. This wasn't what John was about. I mean, if we want to really know who John was about, we have to look at who he was before he became a follower of Jesus. And who John was he was a fisherman, okay? He was a fisherman. He was not not a guy who went out with his $20,000 bass boat out onto a lake with his $100 fishing rod and all of that stuff. He was one of those fishermen like you see on the show The Deadliest Catch, okay? He was rough, he was gruff, he was tough, he was mean. He probably cursed, he probably smoked, he probably drank, he probably got into fights in the bar, okay? That's who this John was. This was not his normal behavior, but suddenly Jesus shows up into town and says to him, hey, I got something better for you than fishing for fish. I want to challenge you to come and fish for men. And John and his brother and Peter, at that moment when Jesus came and spoke to them, they dropped everything that they were doing and they went and they ran after Jesus. And they lived like a Jesus crazy life. They lived a crazy life. Now, some of you have said, I've lived a crazy life. Okay, if you were a part of a biker gang, that's not the crazy life I'm talking about here. The crazy life that I'm talking about is the life of going out into the countryside and just wandering for miles and miles and miles, just finding people and telling them about Jesus and seeing people healed and seeing miracles like fish turn into meals, like, 5 loaves and 2 fishes turn into food to feed 5,000. I mean, these were the kind of things that John saw when he was out with Jesus. It was a wild, it was a crazy and life. And so with that, let's read John 10, verse 10. And this is what it says. It says, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. So if we were to take a moment and we were to kind of break down our society and kind of look at where does our society find life, what kind of things would we find in the box that society pursues to try and find life? We'd find things like pleasure, right? There's those out there who chase after pleasure their whole lives. That's their whole goal, to feel good, for that next high, for that next thing that feels good. And so that's what they'll chase after in life. They'll go after that. Some people, they chase after possessions, right? They think that if they have more stuff, if they've got the bigger and the better and the newer and the, I always find it funny, the people that, and if you're one of those people, I don't mean to insult you, but the guys who I saw this commercial last night for iPhone 7 and they're like, you need to get the iPhone 7 now. And I'm like, why? My other one works just fine. But there's people that they'll hear that the next phone of whatever is coming out. And so what will they do? They'll go and they'll sleep on a sidewalk for 4 days to be the first person in line so that they can get that new device. And we think that this is going to change our lives. Oh man, now I've got the iPhone 7, now I'm a different person. And so we chase after possessions and hope that those are going to give us a wonderful life. We'll also chase after our careers and who we are as a person. We'll see that going. Maybe if I become an executive, if I become a CEO, if I get that promotion, if I get better at my job, if I do better in my job, then suddenly I'm going to have a wonderful life. I mean, I've had people tell me, man, if I could just be a pastor, my life would be amazing. No, you would hate it, okay? And that's not, don't want that to sound bad, even though it does, but I'd have to explain it to you, and I don't want to take time to explain that to you right now. But there's other people who think they'll have a wonderful life if they chase after their pursuits. They're going to think if they stay busy enough or fill their life up with activities, running, biking, fishing, kids and family, and if their time is just filled up with those things, that's going to give them a wonderful life. But can I tell you, I've tried all of that stuff. I've thought those things before. I thought those things were going to fill me up. I thought all of those things were going to give me a wonderful life at one point or another. And you know what I discovered? It doesn't work. See, God designed us a different way. He designed us with a wonderful plan that doesn't involve all of those things. A wonderful life is not found in pleasure, in performance, in possessions, in position or pursuits. It's found in the person of Jesus Christ. I mean, when you look through the New Testament, Jesus over and over again tells us that he is a life giver. And the most powerful statement he made was this verse that we just read in John 10:10, that he came that we may have life and have it to the full. And I just want to explain to you a little bit here about this. This I in this verse is an emphatic I. And so what that means is that Jesus is saying, look, you've got to understand there is no other way. There is no other option. There is no other opportunity. There is no other place. The only single way you're going to find life is through me. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, how is that possible? Because I'm alive right now, right? My heart's beating, my blood's flowing, I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm good, everything is nice, I'm breathing. Yes, that's good, but that's not the life Jesus is referring to. You see, the life that Jesus gives is infinitely and eternally different than the life that we have because our heart is beating and our brain is functioning. And I hate to do this because I don't want people to think that you have to know Greek in order to read the New Testament, but I want to take a minute to look into the Greek here at what this word life means. And the reason I'm going to the Greek is because that's what John was originally written in. It wasn't written in King James English. I know there's some people that think that King James, that's what Jesus spoke. No, he didn't. He spoke Greek, okay? And so that's the language that this book was written in. The book of John was written in. And so I just want to break this down. And what we got to know is, I don't know if you know this, but the English language is a very limited language. Okay, if those of you who speak Italian, okay, very expressive. Well, Greek is very expressive, and so for a lot of words, for one word that we have in English like life, there's 6 words that represent life in the Greek language, and they each have a little different twist on what life means. And so I want to look at 2 of those 6 different twists on life to help us understand what Jesus is saying here. And the first word that the Greeks use for life is bios. Okay, that's where we get the English word for biology. Okay, it refers to the duration of life, one's lifespan, the time between one's birth and one's death. It also refers to those things that make life possible. So like our food, our shelter, our clothing, the air that we breathe, those things are referred to as bios. Okay, the second word is zoe, which is where the English words zoo and zoology are derived. This refers to life as God has it. See, it's a life that belongs to God. So it's a life that God gives to people, and it's only found in Him. It's not a length of time because God's life is not limited to time, nor is it hindered or ended by death. It's not a possession, rather it's an infilling. It's God coming and breathing His life into us. See, when we're born, we have this bios life, but when we come to God or we are born again, we are given zoe life. And until we cross the doorway of Christ and enter into a relationship with God through Jesus, we may be physically alive, bios, but in our life towards God, which is zoe, we are not alive. In other words, it's the difference between just being physically alive or having the wonderful, full, abundant life that God has for us. And this word, full, abundant, it can be translated many ways, but to have something in abundance means that you have way more than you could possibly want or need. And as a follower of Jesus, to know who He is and have the life He offers is to have a superabundance of life. See, when we have that, we have a life that's incredibly vital and has meaning, and it's full of energy and purpose and significance. Okay, it has a different outlook, a powerful hope, and incredible joy. It's a new life. Let's look at it like this. Back in April, I'd gone to Nashville, and I had to rent a car. Okay, and I didn't need anything fancy. I was just going from point A to point B. It was just me in the car. There was nobody else in there. And so I just got, it was $15 a day for this car, okay? And so I get to the airport, and I go to the Alamo counter, and the agent at the Alamo counter says to me, hey, would you like to upgrade? And I thought about it, and they were going to charge me for it. And I said, it's just me. I'm in the car. I don't care. I don't care if anybody else sees me. I'm not trying to impress anyone. And so I said, no, that's okay. I don't need an upgrade. I'll just go with this $15 a day car that I had reserved. And so I go down to the garage to pick up my car, and I walk out, and I go under the sign that says super compact, whatever it is, death traps that they put you in, okay? And so I go to that sign, and there's no cars there. The guy at the garage says, we're all out of that size, the next size up, and the next size up, and so just take whatever mid-size car you want, just don't take an SUV. That's what he said to me. And they weren't going to charge me for it. And so I get into this car, and this car has all leather seats, right? It's got the backup camera in it. So when I put it into reverse, suddenly I can see on my the two rearview mirrors and over here on a big display on the screen. It's got seat warmers. Can I tell you? Jesus invented seat warmers because they're the most amazing. Even in Florida, we had a car with a seat warmer that one time one of our cars got totaled and they gave us a rental that had a seat warmer. It was July. We had the seat warmers on because it just, I don't know, it feels good to sit on a hot seat. I'm not sure. So anyway, so it had seat warmers and digital display, and this thing was far more car than I needed. I mean, I could put the seat all the way back and had plenty of leg room, because that's the struggle when you got long legs, is getting in a car and actually having your legs fit in the car. And I had plenty of leg room. I mean, this car was abundant. It was far more than I asked or needed. And this is the deal. This is what Jesus came to do for us. See, this is what Christmas is about. He came to give us an abundant life. He came to give us a life from God that was way better and way more than we could ever ask for or imagine. And see, when we have that life, we can step outside no matter what's going on, and we can speak and we can declare it's a wonderful life. And see, some of you guys may be out there and you're going after some other things, but you're not going after Jesus. And you're saying to yourself, you know what? I don't understand why my life is not wonderful, why it's not abundant like you're talking about. The question may be that you need to ask yourself is this: am I chasing after the right things? Am I going after possessions and positions and all of these things? Or am I actually chasing after Jesus and going after him with everything that I've got? Because when you do, you're going to be able to look at your life and you're going to be able to say, man, it's an abundant life. It's a wonderful life. It's an amazing life, and it's all because of Jesus that was born in a manger 2,000 years ago in the city of Bethlehem to a man and woman who weren't even married. That's the story of Christmas. And Jesus wants to upgrade anyone's life, just like I got that car upgrade. He wants your life not to just be good, but be better. He wants your life not to just be nice, but he wants it to be amazing, incredible, anything above all you can think or imagine.